Any ads heard during this episode that are not in our voice are placed by third-party agencies. They should not be considered the opinion of or to be endorsed by Hoosier Myths and Legends.
Welcome to another episode of the Hoosier Myths and Legends podcast.
I'm Rebecca Wilhelm.
I'm Mary Quigley.
And I'm Hope Wilhelm.
Join us as we dive into the spookier side of the Hoosier state.
So what comes to your mind when you think of Indiana? Do you think of corn? Do you think of basketball? Do you think of the Indianapolis 500? Maybe you think of famous celebrities who were born in Indiana, like John Mellencamp or Michael Jackson.
But as the saying goes, there is more than corn in Indiana. 92 counties make up the Hoosier state. In this podcast, we are going to discuss some Indiana folklore from each of these counties. If you are into tall tales, ghosts, or spooky legends, then this is a podcast you are not going to want to miss. The legend that we have for you today is an old tale from Elkhart County in Elkhart, Indiana.
Picture this. You are driving down Cable Line Road, State Route 26, just south of Elkhart. It's a late, moonless night. Up ahead, you notice something very strange. Can your eyes be playing tricks on you? There is no way you are seeing what you think you're seeing. The closer you get to this object, you are horrified to see that your first guess is right. What you are seeing is in fact some kind of creature or an animal. It's hairy, like a bear, and it has glowing eyes, near a scary-looking tree that also appears to have a human face and body imprinted on it. And it's glowing. Many other drivers over the years have reported the same experience while driving down this particular section of State Route 26. So turn down the lights, relax, get comfy, and settle in as we bring you the legend of one of Indiana's most famous cryptids, Elkhart's Cable Line Monster.
I love it when we find a legend that I've not heard about before.
Me too, Mary. And this one is one that I was not familiar with, but it was listed on that Indiana University blog that's titled Hoosier Monsters and Where to Find Them.
That blog site is pretty interesting.
It's a great website, and we'll be sure to put a link to that site in our show notes because I'm certain if you are listening to this podcast, you're going to be interested in hearing about other Indiana cryptids.
Very true.
Well, Mary and I like to just get right to the point, so grab your favorite cup of coffee and let's get into it.
Our legend begins in Elkhart, Indiana, on the corner of State Road 26, also known as Cable Line Road, and State Road 11. This intersection has been known to be mysterious and the site of fatal car accidents going back to at least the 1950s, maybe even before. A large tree once stood at this intersection, and many of the legends surround this old tree.
There are all kinds of stories out there about this intersection and this old tree. The tree became something of a rite of passage where local teenagers would go out to take a look at the tree on a dare late at night. And most of the legends involve a beast or some type of monster that's believed may be the cause of these fatal car wrecks that have occurred here over the years.
The most popular legend out there, and the one that we read on the IU Hoosier Monsters blog, involves a wreck where a man was thrown from the car and, quote, left the impression of his face and body in the tree. So now that whenever you drive by this tree on the corner of 26 and 11, you can see his body in the tree. According to the IU website, this particular legend dates back to 1978, when it was shared by an IU student.
Other legends say that it's the spirit of a motorcycle crash victim who still haunts the intersection today without his head. Many believe it was this man's imprint of his face left on the tree. Some legends say that a beast or a monster stole this man's head, and others say that it was the motorcyclist's body that was stolen.
Those that believe it's a monster that causes the fatal wrecks to happen at this intersection describes this monster as looking like a troll. Some more interesting descriptions of this beast involve it looking like a possible alien.
Or I've even seen where they describe it looking like some type of a hairy bear. And this thing has even been reported as looking like a large panther. And there seems to be very different reports on what this thing may look like.
One thing that all of the reports mention is that this beast has eyes that seem like they are glowing.
And there are reports that this beast lived near the tree, and it's been called the Cable Line Monster because of the name of the road.
Something else interesting is that there are also reports of a floating head that is seen in the intersection.
There are also different reports of who the accident victims may be who haunt the intersection.
Some reports say that it was a young couple coming back from a date and that the boy fell asleep at the wheel and ran the stop sign.
Another report is that the spirits who haunt this area are the ghosts of a father and son who wrecked when they were being distracted by the Cable Line Monster.
There is also a report that it was teenagers drag racing.
They were going way too fast to stop, and one of the drivers ended up slamming into the tree. Of course, face first, leaving the imprint of his face and body forever in the tree.
A more nefarious warning comes with this version of the legend. If you tried to drag race, the same fate would happen to you as well.
Another version of the legend involves two teenagers who were out on a date one October night in the 1950s.
The girl looked at the clock and realized she was going to be late for curfew.
The boy, not wanting his girlfriend to get into any trouble, began speeding to get her home.
Wet leaves on the road and the speed were not a good combination. The couple ended up wrecking into the tree.
The girl was the one whose face hit and left the imprint. People who tell this version of the legend also say that she would appear to couples who were also on a date and passing the area, almost like a warning to slow down or to possibly suffer the same fate.
The tree was cut down in 1994, so sadly it is no longer there.
However, that of course is not where this legend ends. We will be back with you after a short break.
We are back with a few more interesting things we found out about this legend.
While looking up some stories about the Cable Line Monster, we stumbled upon a YouTube channel that the Elkhart County Parks does, and it's fascinating.
The channel does history about the county in 60 seconds.
Well, just our luck, they had a video about the Cable Line Monster.
We will be sure to link the video in our show notes for our listeners.
The video discusses many of the legends involving the origin of this intersection and its strange occurrences that we have already discussed here. But it also talks about one of the known fatal wrecks occurring in this intersection.
On August 15th, 1958, Sophia and George Costo of South Bend were driving down Cable Line Road when George ran the stop sign and T-boned another vehicle.
Sophia Costo was thrown from the car and fatally injured in this accident. She sustained head wounds and injuries from colliding with the tree and passed 3 hours later after the wreck in the Elkhart General Hospital.
It's interesting to me that this particular real accident is not ever mentioned in the legends.
It's possible that the Costos tragedy has been lost over the years and to time, but other legends involve a house on this corner where the tree once stood.
Many believe that the souls of the people killed at this intersection inhabit the home.
It was said that for many years that nobody would stay long in this house and that there was a constant revolving door of people moving in and moving out.
However, this does not seem to be the case anymore, as according to a Facebook message thread on the Elkhart Truth Facebook page from October 31st of 2014, the same people have now owned it for several years.
And many think that the whole area around the intersection and the road itself might be haunted.
According to the IU blog website, over the years, people who live near Cable Line Road have reported some odd things happening, especially at night.
Things like their lights flickering in their homes for no reason and phone calls that happen with no one on the other end when you answer.
The creepiest one involves seeing a black cat appear out of nowhere, and many believe it's not a real cat, but possibly the spirit of one of the accident victims. Most often, this cat is attributed to the motorcycle victim.
I also stumbled upon a couple of legends that people have reported seeing a woman floating in a dress at the intersection, and it's thought that this is yet another accident victim.
So what in the world do you think is going on out there in Cable Line Road?
I have no clue. It could be a case of just human error and recklessness.
It does seem strange that so many wrecks have happened in one spot.
I agree with you, Mary.
Whatever it is, I know one thing is for sure. We will be avoiding this area at night anyway.
Yes.
Have you heard of the Cable Line Monster? Is there a version of this legend that we missed? Have you ever seen anything strange out on Cable Line Road? We would love to hear about it. Please send us an email to HoosierMythsAndLegends@gmail.com or reach out to us on social media. We may use it in a later episode. In the email, let us know if you wish to remain anonymous.
To see our source material, please visit our website, HoosierMythsAndLegends.com. Please find us and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and now TikTok. Hoosier Myths and Legends is a Quigley Productions podcast.
Our theme song was written and recorded by Wet Blanket. The song title is Taxidermy Race Car.
As always, stay spooky.